All right. Welcome everybody. We're going to call it to order, and we'll start off tonight with. I guess we'll do a quick attendance, quick roll call.
Michael Aronson here. Robert Bowker
here.
Phil Maria
Here.
Carla Elliott here. Eric Talbot
here.
Chair Roll
here. All right. Thank you. And so I guess Bill will be serving as a full voting member today because we have at least one full-time member absent. Okay, and so before we kind of get into the agenda, I guess we'll do the first item on the agenda is we do have 2 old minutes that we need to vote through. So let's just start off with the September 28th minutes. So just right now, present here, we have myself, Michael, Bobby, Bill, and Eric can vote on that. So I think from that group, we have a motion to approve the minutes from September 28th.
Yeah, Bobby Bowker making a motion to approve minutes from September 28th.
Michael Aronson second.
We'll do a roll call.
Is this among everybody?
This is among the
Present.
Yeah, I can call a roll call if that works.
Yeah, could you?
That's okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Michael Aronson,
Aye.
Bobby Bowker,
Aye.
Phil Maria, Eric Talbot,
Aye.
and Seth Maria, but I for myself, and that passes. And then we're going to go now to the October 24th agenda. So present at this meeting, we have myself, Eric, Carla, and Phil. So from that group, I'll do a quick roll call. Eric.
Sorry, Chair, we just need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the motion.
And the second.
I second the motion.
Very good. And roll call. So Eric.
Aye.
Carla.
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. That's right. Okay, so those are approved. You can put those aside. All right, so we can get into the part of the agenda now. So we're going to start off with the business. The first item of new business on the agenda is 214, 236 South Island Avenue. And this is an application, a conditional use permit for a proposed indoor golf simulator with a bar and food service. We'll bring the applicant in. You can do your, give us your presentation, introduce yourself, and we'll have our conversation.
Okay. My name is Joel Greenberg. I'm the architect of the project. Just as an orientation, I assume you all know the Arcadia Shopping Center. This is at the southern end of the shopping center. Formerly, Marshall's was in this particular unit a while ago, but it's been empty now, and my client would like to do this 19th hole, it's called. We have gotten our referral letter from the building department, and just to go over the comment letter from the consultants, as far as the consultants are concerned, the comments from Nelson Pope Boris, one was the conditional use requirements. One of the items on their comments was soundproofing. Since this is part of a shopping center at the south end, there are no residences nearby, and so there should be no need for fireproofing, nor will there be any excessive noise coming out of this particular use. The operation in the comment letter says that we cannot go past 12 midnight. My answer is obviously we're not going to be going past midnight. The hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. to midnight. And the final question that was brought up was the question about the sign, which I think we have the detail. We have that. Also, we have the detail showing exactly how it was attached to the. Oh, there's the drawing right there. Attached to the building, and it's basically in keeping the shopping center. Just about every unit there has individual letters, and we're just doing the same thing in keeping with that type of signage. The comments from Keller Sessions was basically comments.
Fair enough.
And that's.
I just want a clarification on the hours. You said the hours are going to be 7 a.m. to midnight. Are those the correct hours for operating?
Well, in other words, according to the memo from the consultants, you're allowed to be open to it. So we'll have it. It could be earlier, it could be later, depending on the
Okay.
use and the time of the year.
It's early for golf, 7 a.m.
Well, it depends. If you're a true golfer, you'll go there at 5 a.m. Well, as soon as the sun comes up, okay?
Are there proposed hours of operation? I mean, is the 7 a.m. to midnight is the,
Oh, wow.
are the allowable?
Yes.
Does the business have a proposed?
Like Monday to Sunday, today vary.
Good evening.
Hey,
Good evening.
My name is Anthony Carlemi. I'm the applicant. I plan on being open. I would like to be open at 7 a.m. Golfers they want to get up, they want to get out there, they want to play. Especially in the winter time, they can't play. They like to play at 6 a.m. in the summertime when it's, nice weather out. They like to get out there early, get out of the house. So yes, I would like to be open early a.m. Maybe in the summer hours, it may be different hours because summer would be maybe my less busy time. So I may open a little bit later just to have different hours from summer to winter hours.
And how about closing?
Closing, I would probably stick around the 12 p.m. because let's say in the summer hours when golf isn't as popular, you could say, because people play outside, I would have there'd be sporting events going on where people would watch games and stuff to bring in more type of business stuff besides the golf aspect only.
And that would be that kind of attached to the bar and food trade.
Exactly. Right. Yes. To bring in more business besides just the golf aspect.
And and I apologize. We have a someone in for Valerie today, and I'm blanking on your name. Danielle. So Danielle and any of the other professionals, if you can just for a heads up, as far as the conditional use in this application, is it specific to the golf program, to the sporting program, or is it both or the bar restaurant?
The use is an indoor sports and entertainment facility.
Right. So I mean, I just knowing that facility, obviously there's lots of food service.
Yeah. Liquor stores.
Right. So I just want to make sure that we're kind of focusing on the salient portion of of the condition request here. Okay, so that's effectively what you're saying is that the code parameters of 7 to midnight are you want to be able to operate within those, so it will be seasonally
Adjusted.
right. Yes. Earlier in the winter, later in the summer.
But it'll be within what's
But it will
permitted.
be
Yes,
within.
exactly.
Okay.
And bar is food bar or a alcohol?
Well, it has both. Primarily it's golf oriented. With golf comes, to keep people there longer comes food and or alcohol. It's just kind of hand in hand. Keep people in there longer to create more business.
Is it a full bar or is it just beer and wine?
Full. I prefer full bars. Golfers, they like to drink while they're playing golf and just keep people there longer.
Yep.
Right. Sorry, I had a question that took my tongue and it skipped, but are there other questions on this from the board? Are there any other, Linda, kind of questions that we should be asking just, relative to the, I know that they kind of touched on the Nelson Pope kind of requirements for our assessment of the conditional
Yeah,
use.
I mean, there really
capabilities and impact.
weren't that many comments
Yeah.
in the memo, right? Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
There's no exterior work being done, so there's no site plan. It's
No issue
strictly
with
the
parking
conditional
requirements
use.
or anything? No. Okay.
If there are no other questions from the board, can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Well, Maria, make a motion for public hearing.
Bobby Backer, second the motion.
Any objections? No objections, motion carries. We're in a public hearing. So is there anybody here in this room from the public to speak to this application? If so, you can raise your hand. I see no hands. Is there anybody on Zoom who's here to speak to this application? If so, you can use the hand raise function. And I do not see any hands up. And to my knowledge, we've not received any other public feedback through emails or other means. All right. So with that, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Michael Aaron's motion to close the public hearing.
Pardon me, second the motion.
Any objections? No objections. Motion carries. The public hearing is closed. I'll just ask one more time of staff. Are there any other questions or considerations that we should be taking into account?
Double check the conditional use requirements.
Okay. Let's
Quickly.
give a moment for that to load. Yeah. We need to have music for these moments.
Yeah. How many simulators are gonna be in space?
10.
10?
There's an upstairs and there's also downstairs. I plan on having 8 downstairs and 2 upstairs for possibly like training or
Okay.
things of that nature.
I'm sure you have to build out a pretty decent sized kitchen, right? Probably have fryers and.
Yeah. I'm trying not to have the biggest type of kitchen because I don't want to be a full blown restaurant.
Yeah,
I want to be, I want to have food and things for people to keep them there.
like fry food. Yeah.
Exactly. I've been to them before and you have to leave after a while. You get hungry and there's just nothing else to do.
Food's not a big part of it.
A little bit.
Do you operate any other of these elsewhere? Or?
No, I do not. I go to them often and they're just not up to stuff. I feel like I could do better.
Better job. The nearest one's in Cortland, right?
Yes, there is one in Portland. There's
There's also one in
Manhattan.
also.
I think there's one just opened on Central Avenue.
Yeah,
recently.
they opened right across the street from each other on Central Avenue. I don't know how that's gonna work, but
Of course they did.
We designed the one in Mahopac and it's running very nicely. Also,
Very good.
You plan on, using a sound system of any kind inside?
I mean, we plan on having some sort of, background music. I don't plan on having loud music, never any live music of any sort of thing like that.
Yeah, subwoofers and things like that, and blind noise,
Yeah.
seat buffers.
Yeah,
No,
they don't like it. They don't like it.
that'll affect their
Maybe
golf
a little later at night.
Yeah.
What's the business directly next door?
Mattress.
Mattress firm.
People might be trying to sleep.
You took the words out of it.
Getting close.
I think you're fine.
Okay. All right. Can we have a motion from the board to?
Yeah, Bobby Bowser making a motion to approve the conditional use.
Michael Aronson, second.
And we will do a roll call.
Michael Aronson?
Aye.
Robert Bowker?
Aye.
Carla Elliott? Aye. Bill Maria?
Aye.
Eric Talbot?
Aye.
Chair Roy?
All right, very good. The motion carries. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And,
Have a good night.
Okay, well, Thanksgiving, happy holidays.
Valentine's Day. Let's see. Thank you, everybody. Sorry. There you go. Thank you again.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Next up, we have Planning Board 17/2023. This is Briarcliff Drive South, Briarcliff Woods condominium. And this is an application for site plan approval for a new fence along the property. Davey, would you like to walk us through this and then we'll discuss?
Jimmy Hernandez, Michael from the management group, something Woods, and Gene, so from Wood. And I'm one of the board members. I'm one of the board members.
I'm sorry, is that Michael, Jean, and John?
Yes.
Okay.
Along the front of the property, there's been hedges that.
I'm just gonna stop you for a second. Can we get the, maybe the drawings? up?
Yeah, can you just speak up? Just, nope. Thanks.
So as you can see in the pictures, along the property line, along the Allegan Road, there is there've been hedges there for a long time. They're wrong hedges. They're over 7 feet tall, and there's a need to replace them. When it came to that, the whole community decided that they wanted to replace them with a vinyl fence. The reason to do that was, one was the snow accumulation. It kind of doesn't make it adequate to replace it with more hedges or planting because it get affected by the snow and salt during the winter. Also for privacy, and of the 142 units, 38 of them will be affected because now they will have a backyard and it will be much safer for the kids to play and not get into the street. So the pool area, so safety was one of the biggest concerns, like I said, maintenance of well. Yes.
Can you throw the fence that's being?
Well, that's okay. I can.
How tall is the fence?
6 feet.
6 feet?
Can you just explain again what's wrong with the existing hedge?
Sure,
I'd be happy
Yep.
to talk about it. Thanks for giving us the opportunity. Gene Weglarz, I'm the superintendent of the property. I've been there for 26 years. These particular hedges on Ogden Road are 490 feet. They were there prior to 1978 when the property was constructed. Over the years, their average life expectancy is 40 years. They've been there for 50. With the snow plow, the salt, where the hedges are right now, we have 6 foot, 4 foot sections that you can just walk through. We have a swimming pool there. We have probably 20 or 30 children that catch the bus every morning, and they're walking through. So as the gentleman explained, the number one reason is safety, privacy, a sound deadener, if you will, and it would give 2 buildings, 36 residents, essentially a backyard. We plan on making it aesthetically pleasing inside and outside, but primarily it's strictly safety. We can plant stuff there, replace a shrub, but the same thing would happen in a few years. The salt, the snow, and what happens is you get this erosion that goes like this. And we have dogs on the property, we have children on the property, more so now than we've ever had in the 26 years that I've been there. And I cringe when I go out in the morning and I see 6 or 7 kids standing and walking through the hedges, and the cars are going by at 35 miles an hour. I think it would be a big plus. It also shows that people in Ossining are willing to spend money to make their properties more enticing, more attractive, and certainly more safe. And I hope that you would understand that, you know, we've committed a lot of capital to this. And, you know, we think that the 142 residents, 325 people, they want it. They're excited about it. And so are we. And we hope that you will be as well.
Can I
Thank
ask?
you.
I'm sorry, thank you. Can I ask how long, vinyl fences typically last?
Well, the good thing about that is the privets that are up there have been in an unsightly condition for 10 years. The fence, however, is a whole different story. It's vinyl. Every 2 to 3 years, we can simply power wash it with soap and water. So it would always look attractive 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We've already had paint duplicates made, so if there's a scratch, we can take care of it. You know, we put a lot of pride in that complex. We spend a lot of money on that complex, and whatever recommendations are made to us by the village, we've always abided by them. We just spent about $55,000 putting in fire extinguishers, exit signs, and so forth. So, you know, this is really important. And if you drive on Ogden Road, you have one side, the other complex across from us, that's kind of attractive. It's kind of cluttered with landscape, but there's no snow there. There's no children there. Our side of the road, if you go by there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, it's infested with children. And I was out there tonight, and there's 6 foot sections where you can just walk through. And these kids are young, and some of them are without parents. They're waiting for the bus. We feel this would be safe, attractive, and a big benefit to the people who live there and pay common fees every year in taxes.
You're talking about the safety along the sidewalk for the strip, the green strip between the curb and the hedge. How much space is there? In some of those photos, it looks like it's pretty wide, and some it looks like it's not.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about it, is that where the shrubs currently are from the curb, there's about 10 feet. So there's plenty of room to walk your dog, and there's plenty of room, you know, and the kids don't stand outside of the fence. They're inside the driveway. But however, the current condition that's there, it's the opportunity for them to wander.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I see it every day. I've been there for 26 years. And when I moved in 1999, there were 3 or 4 kids. You can count them on your hand, with fingers left over. Now, 26 years later, there's younger people buying there. They have 2 kids, 3 kids, and it's a concern, and we want to address it before it becomes a problem.
This is a 490-foot section of fence going in?
It's actually, yeah, it's different sections. It's not one run. We have 3 driveways. It's a horseshoe on one with 2, and then there's one up on the hill. That one's not affected. So it's one section, a driveway, another section, and a driveway that goes down into the woods.
Breaks in the fence?
Excuse me?
There's 3 driveway breaks within the 490 feet?
There's gonna be 2 breaks. Yeah.
Any gates or, I guess, like doors in the fence or anything?
Well, what we have is, we plan on having one section, and then there was a recommendation, we have all the, with Con Ed, everything is arranged, as far as where it needs to be positioned. We have an opening for people to walk through, and there was a recommendation that we should have a gate behind, and that's certainly not a problem for us. Anything that needs to be done, we're willing to do to make this a positive.
Thank you.
And so you would remove the existing shrubbery and the fence would be on the same sort of line as the existing.
Correct.
With the same distance
Yes.
from the curb.
And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I can walk up to the shrubs right now and pull them out. In 1978, when the complex was built, these shrubs were 20 feet tall, and every year they moved them down. The other thing is, we can't plant big things there as far as landscape goes. Across the street they can. Our side of the road has the telephone line, so we need to kind of stay low and not infringe on Con Ed or telephone lines as well. So we took all this into consideration. We've been talking about this and planning and saving for it financially for the last 5-6 years.
I would like to add just one more thing.
Oh,
The
can you come
pool-
up to the microphone? Sorry.
Just nothing, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to add, the pool is right in back of those bushes. It adds privacy to those, which I think everybody should have. And the bushes aren't providing that anymore. It's an eyesore, and it's something that we're trying to correct in that community, in our community. So I would just like to take that into consideration too.
And I'm assuming there's a separate fence that's around the pool for code, correct?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, we spent $250,000 refurbishing the pool.
One of the comments from the Nelson Pope memo was regarding the height of the fence, because I know it's a street fronting fence, but it's not the front yard per se. Is that
that's correct.
accurate? Yeah. So that was kind of a concern that I had also just looking at it as well, just the height and the.
Well, right now, the privets that are out there are 8 feet tall, 10 feet tall, so we're actually coming down. And just so you know, when we started this and we filed for the permit, we had to pre-order the fence because it had to be fabricated. It's not a typical kind of fence you would throw in a backyard. It's a good quality fence. It's a $50,000 job. So we had to pre-order this fence months ago when we originally filed the permit, in order to know that we can have it in time. It's literally sitting on our property, shrink wrapped right now. I can assure everyone here that this will be a positive and a plus for Ossining, a condominium community, and it will be done in good taste, and it will be done to anything and everything that you guys require us to do.
So the 3 foot, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say the 3 foot, the prohibition against front fencing being higher than 3 feet, a variance is not required.
Joe's got, I think we all questioned whether it was, so Joe would have to make that determination. I think it's a concern. I mean, the idea is that you don't have 6-foot fences on a street frontage.
Right.
So it may need a variance.
The way the code reads is anything above 3 feet within the front yard of a residential zone.
Right. So then we would need clarification then from Joe on that point, whether or not that variance is required.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was a question about whether that was a front yard.
I think we read both of those. Yeah, no, I agree. That was, I think we definitely need clarification on that point.
Right, so the building inspector has to make that clarification.
There's a fence across the street from us, opposite Ogden Road, that is more than 3 feet.
Yeah, I don't know, but
It's like,
I don't know where the jurisdiction line is. And then I guess, I mean, Danielle, do you want to go through any other comments that we haven't touched on this?
Yeah, well, that was one of the comments, was the height of the fence in the front yard, because we know it's not technically the front yard or whatever Joe's jurisdiction is. However, we put in our comments to encourage you to lower the height to fit in more with the character of the surrounding properties, one of them being across the street, because they have that lower black fence. It has gaps in it. It's not like a sheer sheet of vinyl, for example. And then our only other comment regarding the height of the fence is we just want to make sure there's no obstructions to vision at those intersections pulling in and out of the property.
No, there's not at all. In fact, at each of the 3 entrances, we have stone there that's been there since 1978. The fence will not start until after the stone. So it would have no effect whatsoever on people coming and going inside of 2 entrances.
Tony, do you want to go through your comments as well? Because I think some of them, there's a lot of overlap between them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we had the site triangle as well, you know, to kind of show that on the site plan, the site triangles to make sure they work. One thing that concerns us is the fence is shown going onto the Village of Ossining property. I think there's a trailway parcel. You go off to the left, yeah. See, that extends off the property. So we want to remove that piece. It might have just been, you know, dragging the line. We did make the suggestion about the access gate behind the transformers, the extra. But that was pretty much it. The other thing is we just want to make sure that you get that sign, that surveyed, because if that fence does go on that line, you want to make sure you're on your property.
Absolutely.
Right, so we kind of recommended getting a survey done.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the whole site.
Well, we did, we had a note from the drawing about speaking, make sure that before the fence gets installed, we do show 12 feet from the curb, which is what we discussed, but it should be staked out, so.
Yeah.
Proper line, so to make sure that the utilities as well.
I think, Tony, what you're saying is getting a full survey.
Yeah, well, just not the whole site,
Okay,
just at least
that front line.
to confirm that that fence lines up on the property, like on the applicant's property.
Okay.
And the clarification.
Yeah.
We can show the triangular, but we don't really, I thought those were meant for street intersections.
This is kind of considered.
It is
street,
big, yeah.
Okay.
Even though it's a private road, it's a private road. Streets.
Okay.
Because it's about visibility, so it's the
That's what
same
I'm saying.
effect.
In the gate, I mean, we can show a gate in the rear where they connected to use, but they're gonna be accessible from the front.
Yeah, no, it's just another access point.
No,
just
no
in
problem.
case.
Not
Yeah,
a problem at all.
And the only other thing I had, I think it's just a drafting error. This is just
Yeah.
an extra line.
that's
That's not,
the-
okay, then yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So, I mean, in summary, I think what I'm hearing is there's still a question of height, which I think is, we need to know if that's a variance or not. We can't approve a site plan if it's not compliant. So we need clarity on that point. We also would need even if it's not a variance, comfort level from this board, whether or not that height. I have concerns about it. I think just in terms of, you know, it's a large opaque wall that's kind of going up along the side of the road. You know, I'm sensitive to the fact that the material is ordered, but I also want to make sure that we're being sensitive to the community and we're, you know, make sure this installed in a way that will feel right to everybody who lives there. So I think we definitely need, we'll need the clarity on that before we can really do anything more. Linda?
Yeah, it also required a county referral,
Okay,
so you've got to wait 30 days or until you get comments back from the county.
okay.
That's if they have that piece of fence continuing to be over the property and even just within 500 feet, which I think even if you cut back on that side of the fence, it would still be within 500 feet, so I think regardless.
Okay, so the county referral is relevant. Okay, can we have a motion to open a public hearing on this application?
Bill Murray, I'll make the motion to open the hearing.
Tom, I second it. Any objections? No objections. Motion carries. We're in a public hearing. Is there anyone in the room here tonight to speak to this application?
I'd just like to say a few words. John Andosno, the Vice President of the board, and I thank you for taking the time to speak to us today. I just want to clarify one thing. Although the fence height is 6 foot, it's only about 3.5, maybe a little bit short of 4 foot. That's solid. The top part, as you can see in the pictures, is a trellis. Also, in terms of the visibility, the hedges do not come up to the edges of our entrances or exits. There's already stone abutments there for several feet, so the fence is beyond that. So we wouldn't add anything in terms of detriment to the visibility. Everything like that stays exactly the same. This fence is only meant to replace these dilapidated hedges, which, believe me, if you went there, you could see right through them. They're an eyesore, is what they are. So I hope that we'll be able to get this application forward. You know, I've been working with this for months, and the ground's not getting any less frozen than it is right now. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I could jump off for a second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Let me just give an opportunity right now, real quick, to make sure to see if there's anybody else. Because I'm considering you all as part of the applicant team, and is it so really quickly for any other comments I will. Is there anybody from the public on Zoom who would like to speak to this application? Use the hand raise function. And I do not see any hands up. Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Michael Aaron's a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Bowder, second motion.
Any objections? No objections. The motion carries. So yeah, any kind of final comments right now, and then I think I think that I'll let you speak, and then I'll kind of sum it up.
Okay, I'm gonna be real quick anyway.
That's all.
Just, I do want to say that you see that the bushes are 8-9 feet tall. The fence is lower. If you go back to where the fence picture is, the fence really only comes over to here, and then you have openings for the next 1.5 feet. So it's viewable. It's not all fence and all blocked out. We're considering the privacy for the pool and privacy for the people inside also. And I mean, if you look at the bushes, it just looks so much better. That's my personal.
I understand. I think you guys have articulated your concerns clearly. I think we need to kind of weigh all these different factors here as we're looking at it. I also actually just a quick question relative to that. And also, there's a berm right leading up to this. To that, it's what's the height difference on that berm from the curb up? Approximately, is it?
Probably a couple feet.
Okay, it's not. It's the photos can sometimes exaggerate it, or
I don't have the dimension of that, but we can.
Okay, it's because it's even up on the hill.
This one there?
No.
Yeah, the ground goes definitely goes up
from
the road.
Yeah, probably 2 inches from the curb. Very flat.
That's why I'm asking.
That's why, yes.
That's not what it looked like.
Yeah, the photos made it look like it was a pretty severe.
Put the camera down low.
Almost like a slope.
Also, one other comment that when we're talking about the community, to keep in mind that the whole community there was being represented that.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Just that there was a comment about we have to be sensitive to the community. The whole community there, 142 units.
No, I understand. This is it. Okay, yeah. So these photos make it look much less.
Yeah, the fence would actually be
Well,
further
there it's
back
higher.
than-
It varies.
It does
Yeah.
vary.
I do have a question. So the fencing across the street is this black wrought iron fencing. And for continuity or something, why wouldn't you want to mimic that type of fence?
Well, they're able to park cars on that side of the street. And they're able to have grass, as you see. We have no grass on the other side. It's all dirt practically, because that's where all the snow and all the salt goes. And if you drive by that property this winter, all those shrubs 20% more of them will start falling down. The only thing holding them up right now are each other.
And
And
then,
it's,
yeah, so there's some landscaping at the entrances,
at
that's
each
going to
entrance,
stay.
correct, right.
Yeah.
And that stays, that's,
Yeah,
you know, everything there is, you know, there. I wish that we were on the other side and we had alternatives or options, but this is an eyesore. And you sit in your backyard and you see cars go by, you see people walking dogs, you hear every sound, every noise. I mean, look at the ground there.
But that's not
That's
the
how
case
much
across the
slope,
street,
right.
I guess is the question.
What's that? I'm
So
sorry.
that's not the case for the development across the
No.
street with the wrought iron.
Not at
fence
all.
there
They have,
protected?
they have grass, they have, you know.
No, but I mean, you said in terms of visibility from the street and
Will they plant
sound.
them behind their
They
fence?
have a planted wall as
Right.
well.
Right,
Behind their fence.
right.
And
We
I think it's
can't
about,
plant anything that high because we have telephone lines there.
I see.
So we're trying to be cognizant of everything and taking it all into consideration. It can be an eyesore, and the fence would be actually 3 feet lower than those shrubs.
and I would just point out that this view here as well does show that I think that certainly on certain points of the property, it's level with the street, but here it's, you know, it's 7 or 8 feet up, or 5 or 6 feet up at least.
Well, most of it is pretty level. The one section is perfectly level. I've had line levels on it with rope. It's perfectly level on the far end. That end there that goes towards the aqueduct, the fence can still be put up perfectly straight and level, and we can compensate the ground. Most of what you're seeing in the variance of the ground itself is from erosion. You know, the water collects there, the shrubs are dying from root rot. And it's the best decision. It's, you know, the right thing to do for 325 people want this. And again, we've been saving financially for this for 5-6 years.
No, I understand, and we are listening to you. I think that before we put the cart before the horse, it's important to get a clear determination from Joe on how this is being interpreted. Because it may be something that simply that would have to go to the ZBA for a variance before, you know, we can vote on that. And that's kind of outside of our hands. So let's get that clarity. I think we've had a good conversation on this. I think then once in the meantime, we can make the notification to the county. I don't know if that's already been made, or if we need to make that referral. And then we can kind of pick this back up in those questions are answered.
There's also individual single-family homes in the area right around us that have 6-foot fences.
Yeah, I mean, I right now we need to look at it based on what the village. The public hearing is closed, is adjourned. So while I apologize, I would ask that if there is somebody here who's asking to speak here, we're not in a public hearing at this point. We were for a little while earlier, but we will be bringing this project back to the agenda after we get the clarity that we just asked for.
There were also some comments in the memo, so we could address those also.
Sure. Right. Okay, can I have a motion from the board to adjourn this agenda item?
Ray, motion to adjourn this item.
Bobby Dapper, second motion.
Any objections? No objections? Then the motion carries and the item is adjourned. All right, guys. Thank you very much. All right.
We have an idea when we'd be pulled back or?
So I think we're gonna need to get an answer from Joe, from the building department, in terms of whether or not this will require a variance. I think if it requires a variance, does this board need to make that referral?
You don't have to. You could say now that if it does require it, you're fine with them.
Yeah, I think, are there any objections from the board from approaching that way? So then you would go to the ZBA, get that, and then come back to us. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a nice evening, folks.
Thank you.
You too. Okay. We're going to move on now to continuing business. The first item of continuing business is Planning Board 13/2023, BAR 15/2023 for 80 Main Street. So I guess while the applicant is coming up, is there any, can you kind of give us just a real quick update in terms of what's happened in the background
Or I'm not, I wasn't totally involved, obviously Valerie would know
Yeah.
better than I, but in terms of the comments we have, they've pretty much been addressed, but as of last night, they did go in front of the EAC for LWRP approval. They are consistent with the LWRP, obviously for the meeting last night. A lot of the items on that list were not applicable in most cases. However, the ones that were applicable were consistent. So that is, at least as far as I know,
Okay,
the
that's
most
fair.
recent update. So
Don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay.
Tony, is there anything new on your end right now? I think your list was shortening, but
Our list is shortening. I did forward the newer plans over to the structural engineer, but we still need those pull tests so he can do a full review. So right now he's not able to really review anything.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So good evening.
Good evening.
So the excavation and fill was actually sent over today to you, right, this afternoon. And the last component of that they need before we can grant the permit is the bond, correct? So we should be able to wrap that up, I would imagine, before end of week, and I think that's what's holding them back from doing the poll tests. Do I have?
Yeah. But I think the discussion is that probably come from their contractor and
Okay.
they review it. You know, construction cost estimate of the road controls. We can talk about it offline if you want. But just
I submitted a letter to the village attorney.
Yeah, and we had some emails this afternoon about with Tony about setting that bond amount, and he really needs a cost estimate from you for the cost of the work.
You need to install the mesh and everything.
No,
to do the work under the excavation and fill permit, which is basically the full tests and
full tests, erosion controls. I would just maybe keep a little bit in there for potential road sweeping every day. Just things like that. We can work with you on that. It's just something we can review.
and for removals already done, correct? I mean, it's
yeah. So the language for the bond under the excavation and fill section is that there should be a bond in such amount as may determined by the planning board and approved by the corporation council or cash to ensure proper and faithful completion of the work in accordance with the terms of the permit issued, which bond shall further indemnify the village for any damage to village property. That's what the code states. So the planning board has said the amount will be as determined by the consulting engineer. So I think, Tony, you've indicated you need some estimates from them that you can review.
Correct. Yeah, that's usually.
To determine
is that going to come from? I brought over Elio, Corey, and Mr. DeVore as well. So I'm not sure if that's something.
Yeah, one of those. Whoever, I don't know who you put that together. I would imagine.
But that's the estimate that is needed.
I think Elio says something that you can put together for us.
For the cost estimate for pretty much the construction cost for the entire project, or
no,
a specific item?
Work being done under the excavation and fill permit.
I'm sure between us and Mr. DeVore, we could get that done.
Okay, and just, work with Anthony and we'll come up with that number.
Yeah.
Understood.
Get done.
Oh, yeah. If they give me something, I can review it pretty quick. I have ideas of what things should cost.
Okay. And so then, I guess then, kind of taking this back, big picture, as we know, we approved the excavation bill. Sounds like it's moving its way along, but that permit is kind of a step along the path to getting the testing done, which is required for the engineering review of the slope stabilization plan. And that slope stabilization plan is one of the central components of the site plan, which needs to be resolved. So I just want to be kind of clear in terms of setting expectations. And so we're kind of waiting for this big thing to happen. It seems like we're really close next day. But that's still kind of in the works there. And then on the flip side, we've had a lot of conversations over the last couple of meetings about the site plan and the kind of architectural review component of this. And I think, one of the things we can accomplish tonight is to look at that, see how the board feels about the development of that portion of the project, and see if we can make any headway on that front.
May I ask a question on everyone?
Sure.
Is it possible to, it doesn't sound like it, but is it possible to get a site plan approval conditioned upon the
successful test pool?
No, we need, this is where you're relying on consultant engineers to advise us and tell us what works. So that review is kind of central to our site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, so can we, I don't know if you would like to walk us through the changes, or how do you want to,
Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty simple. I think there's three things that at the last meeting were somewhat relevant. Number one was there was a request for information in the circulation plan, which was submitted. Secondly, there was a request for a plan for the rear of the building as opposed to rendering in order to have a vertical heights and other conditions, which we submitted to the board. And then lastly, there was a question which the board had raised about materials in connection with whatever's being done in the rear of the building for the walkway and the security of the railings, etc. That's where my recollection is we left off at the last meeting. Two of the items are pretty simple. You know, we submitted the plans that required. JB's here if we need to talk about the plan. If you need that, we can do that. Otherwise, I think that what would be, I think, significant would be the aesthetic element of the plan in terms of how we're treating the walkway itself in terms of materials and any other issues the board sees in that regard.
sure, maybe we could pull up there's the kind of elevation drawing that they provided of the rear of the building. I think we kind of went through that, the detail that they provided at the walkway, which I thought was helpful. I think that was a good development.
I have a question if I may.
Yeah.
One of these renderings now show it's sloping even lower in the back, but the plans aren't reflecting that. So I was curious, is there any change you guys were discussing in the back? I've seen this one before. There is one that actually slopes down. I thought it was a newer one.
There's actually a drawing. These are renderings. There was a rendered
like
elevation.
It shows it sloping even further down in the back, the pathway. I'm pretty sure it was in this path.
A rendering or
a rendering?
It's a rendered elevation. There's, I think,
well,
yeah.
I think that the whole reason why we produced this.
Yeah, I think the focus should probably be on the actual plans and not the rest.
I was just going to say that's I think what the chairman was concerned about in terms of getting the rear elevation of the.
There we go. There we go.
Didn't rely on a rendering. Let's see the actual dimensions.
But I'm just saying, like, the grading plan doesn't reflect that. We were kind of looking at all the plans that were kind of submitted. The newer plans trying to just get an idea what was submitted, and they're not. Some of them aren't, jiving with the other ones.
Okay.
And stuff. So I just want to make sure the final product has what's going to be built.
Yeah. So I mean, let's start because I think this drawing is helpful, and this is an architectural drawing as opposed to the renderings, which are more artful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know who's the right person to answer that question, because that's I mean, forgetting about the rendering, you're not comparing this, Tony, to the rendering. You're comparing this to the grading plan and just to the topo lines and
shows kind of a flat across the back.
Yeah.
There is a slope there, but we can coordinate. Make sure that the
make sure that coordinates with the plan.
Yeah,
as well as the anchoring too. Because some plans show soil behind the net, and some of them show it right on the rock. So just make sure all the plans are consistent. Yeah, consistent. That's the word I've been looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's more plans. It's more plans issue than a rendering issue.
Yeah.
Coordinate.
So and let's kind of stay on this drawing. I don't know if it's best to zoom out or how we want to deal with it. Kind of when I'm looking at this, I think it's nice. We see the stone going down to the grade, which I think we saw last time, which I think looks nice. I think that the most challenging component of this, JB, is just the drainage lines and making them work.
I mean, I think the discussion, we can continue this. Right now what we've done is treat the drainage lines like basically a border of separation, like we had a discussion at this meeting. And also, again, part of what we're showing the rendering, one of the renderings was the fact that this, you're never gonna see this at this elevation. So the big band of stone you see at the bottom, in reality, when you're on Main Street, even if there's a building in front of it, there is no. There's no such a thing.
You see it now. I mean, you see a big foundation, right? Like when you're staring out from Main Street. So I mean, it's visible, and I think that this will improve that. It'll look finished. It'll look intentional, and I think that's good. I do think that we did talk last time about the drainage lines being like an architectural element. I think vertically, maybe that works here, but are those just exposed lines? Are you softening them? Because they're you know, there's nothing that's like mitigating that pitch, that just, you know, like some sort of a level line that makes it look more architectural. And if you can't do that, I know
think if we do a band to mitigate the pitch, we looked into that will become too much of a band.
Okay.
At the bottom. It will be, you know, in order to catch the, almost you talking about like when we conceal a gutter or something to have a straight line.
Some sort of a soft bed that, yeah.
Yeah, personally, I think if we do a soft bed like that, it will bring more attention to the element than it is now. But that's something.
So is that just exposed? That's just an exposed PVC pipe that you're showing? I mean,
we can cover. I mean, we can put a soffit around it. I have no issues doing with that with a soffit. Nah, architecture, I don't think that the soffit should be too large.
The lines are not
Right.
exactly parallel.
Right,
So the concern with a soffit is you're going to start seeing building elements that are going off in different directions. I'm not sure that, I mean, from my point of view, I don't think that's.
No, I mean, the answer, maybe the answer is, at least for the horizontal elements, it's just to try to conceal them more instead of doing them, you know, having matching the color of the stone.
That was one of the suggestions that you had last meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
And I think we just kind of left that up to the board, whatever they wanted.
That's a good recommendation. How it blends in now, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then the only other.
Just to follow that, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit. So what is the board's preference, to paint this in a color that matches the stone and kind of blends in and disappears and fades into the stone, or paint it in white like this one?
The way that it's shown right now is not what we discussed last week in terms of blending it in with the architecture. It's just the white pipe. So
because we didn't know what to do.
Well, no, I think the soffit. I mean, I know
that's fine. You looked into it, so we're here where we are right now. I think, you know, if there's no way to you know, to do anything that's a little bit more horizontal and, or, you know, bring it interior or whatever it is and conceal it better, then I think hiding it would be better. That's my
Paint it to match the stone, and then have somebody draw the cracks and.
I know some great exterior art painters.
Yeah, might work.
Yeah. And then and then my only other comment was, I think that red bay appeared in this rendition. Is that new, or is that not supposed to be there?
No, anything above the stone.
Is that existing? Okay, maybe I was comparing that to the renderings. I didn't see that in any of the other representations of it. I wasn't sure if that was something that you were proposing was new.
No, we're not. Anything above the, and I think we made a point to make sure we have lines. So anything above the stone is existing.
That was what I thought. I just, and so I just want to make sure that what we're looking at here is accurate, or if something else is not accurate, so we can correct it.
It is.
Yeah. There's a side view, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that was just incorrectly drawn.
I will double check with the rendering. So we will convert that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm less concerned about the rendering, because the rendering is representational, but the drawings are going to be kind of what the approval is based on. So,
JB, what is the material for the railings by the sidewalk? Is that?
That is
That's not like a safety risk of someone like walking through it, right?
No,
So
we did
question
look
that
into
Valerie had raised, whether that,
It should be
wood
42
rail
inches
fence
high
was
and
sufficient.
so someone can't go through it, right?
No, we did look into this, and this is, we did speak about this. This is the maintenance area, so it does not comply with capital revenue.
But no tenants are gonna go back there,
No,
or have
no,
anybody back there,
no.
or sneak back there.
With their dog or.
So any space, maintenance, repair, or additional mapping of equipment are not required.
Well, that's not, that, there's one thing, accessibility is what you had noted in your drawings, but just in terms of fall safety and, yeah, and barriers, right? And you need to have a protective railing, it needs to be a certain height, and you sort of this, I think it's a 200-pound horizontal load, right? There are just safety, because you're on the precipice of effectively a cliff here. Can we get clarification from Joe maybe on the code requirements of that barrier? I think that would be helpful. And then just materially, we had talked potentially last week about doing a composite material versus a wood, so that we're not worried about. I mean, that maybe that conversation maybe follows up on this.
Yeah.
I just worry about if
That type of fence has like a 10-year life span, unless you're treating it every single year. It's like composite. Safer.
Yeah, like the mending fences, right?
So you would like a change in the material of the fence, is that okay?
Yeah, potentially safety issues too, like.
I think the two are tied, right? So I mean, we want an opinion from the building department regarding the, what are the code minimum requirements here? Like even like a tube rail, or it's like that's like you would see on a utility.
If you think about it, this is almost the same as you will see in a rooftop.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
right. But then yeah, exactly. So what you're describing, but that's not what that is, right? But so
you know what fence we go.
Yeah, nothing fancy, nothing.
So it's like a rooftop thing.
Yeah, like it's like an HVAC, like a bulkhead roof or something like that.
Oh, I know what the law requires. My question is, what does the board want? So
The board wants something more like a rarely you see in the rooftop when you have it from.
oh, I see.
You go by the right lane, so the kids can go through. Even though it's for maintenance, how do you prevent someone else from going back there? Or a maintenance guy going back, to bringing his kids back there, right? It's a sidewalk.
Say, I'm with you on the safety.
Yeah. Saves liability for everybody.
If I may interrupt, I apologize.
Please.
There's an existing split rail wooden fence around the property, so the applicant would like to match it to that. That's the reasoning behind going with that same material.
There's a height issue back there though, right? It's a cliff face essentially where that sidewalk meets the fence. So it's a safety concern.
Right, yeah, it's a different installation. It'd be one thing as a kind of a demarcation of two properties. Yeah.
So it will be set in concrete. We do have the details for it.
Yes, we saw those details were shown, I think, clearly in the set, and it's a big improvement over what we were looking at last time. But I think we're still talking about a wood fence with a limited lifespan, kind of providing effectively a life safety component. Right, that's protecting the top of this ridge.
Understood. It's just so the thing is, I'm a little confused, right? Because over the past few meetings, we've discussed not having anything back there, and then when we add something back there, now it becomes an issue of concern. Then we add a gate, and then we still have the concern of folks walking back there. So we just need clear direction here in terms of what it is that you're really looking for.
There's going to be people back there for maintenance. And if it's a split rail fence, they're going to be back there to maintain the fence. So whether it's the public or just people back there doing maintenance, it's still a safety issue.
And the comments of safety have been brought up at all of these meetings with this access and this barrier and this help. And the comment and even the material of wood was questioned last week. And so we need to know A, that it's code compliant, B, that it's safe, right? Probably in the reverse order, but both are equally important. so that's, you know, and that's been consistent with this entire review is understanding how that hill is accessed and how it's accessed safely.
I think that it'd be, to clarify this point, that if Joe agrees with us that there's no code issue with that fence, the board still feels that's an issue with the fence, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Materially.
Materially.
Okay.
Materially. You know, I think, you know, what we can kind of, from my perspective, I think what's resolved that wasn't last time is the walkway itself, right? You've detailed that, you've anchored it down to the stone. I think it's really clear and I think it's helpful. I think, you know, we have some in terms of Tony's comments regarding the elevation and just the kind of the slope of the hill on the back of the building and making sure that you know either the grading plan or that drawing or one of the other needs to be, you know, brought into sync with one another. And I think it sounds like there's a couple of areas where that syncing needs to be a little bit clearer. As far as the architectural review, I think that we're very close in terms of maybe, you know, just concealing that height instead of showing it white would be helpful. And you'll also review the drawings to make sure they're consistent with what's actually there, because you are not proposing any work above I guess that's the cellar level or the basement level. And then beyond that, we have, you know, the structural review and that'll be essential to the site plan. So I think we're very, very close. So it looks like the railing is something we just need to get final resolution on, and the structural review are the kind of the biggest, you know, in addition to the items that are in both the colored sessions and the Nelson Public Defenders, which are view.
Do we initiate the conversation with the building department regarding the fence in the back, or is that something that you will do?
We can take care of that for you, and we'll loop Mr. Piero into that conversation, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion to reopen the public hearing on this application?
Bobby Balker making a motion to reopen public hearing.
Michael Aronson, second.
Any objections? No objections. The motion carries. We're in a public hearing. Is there anybody in this room to speak to this application? You can raise your hand. There's nobody in this room to speak to this application. Is there anybody on Zoom? You can use the hand raise function. Give me a moment. And I do not see anybody on Zoom. Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Michael Aronson, motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Maria, second.
Objections? No objections. The motion carries. Do you guys, any
Quick question.
Yes.
As per the architectural view component of this,
Yeah.
besides the fence, are we close enough when we can get that done, or the one is good?
We had a conversation about making sure that the rendered elevations, the elevation drawings are accurate. Let's double check those. We can make the modifications to the leaders. I think we're very close there. I mean, typically we vote for a site plan and architectural review together. I think that, you know, and an outcome for you is, and it really, you're very much almost there at this point, is making sure that we're, as a board, have kind of landed in a place where we think it's appropriate, and we're very almost there. And then we'll hopefully be able to put all of these things together in a single resolution.
What I'm concerned about is that because the testing still has to be done, I'm concerned that it may take a little longer than just 1 month. That all that material will be gathered and submitted to the board. I was hoping that maybe, even though you normally do them together, that we might at least get one of the approvals out of the way.
I have a thought.
Sure.
So I'm just looking at the calendar here. The deadline for returning submissions for next month is actually this Thursday.
Yeah.
So I think if we can get an answer tomorrow from Joe, if you can do whatever you need to do with the leaders, then perhaps we could have them back on the December meeting and at least get that foothold. Does that sound?
Yeah, and that's only 3 weeks away.
Yeah, it's on the 19th. It's the next
Early.
meeting.
And given the scenario that you're laid out, if it's going to be a significant amount of time before we can.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's.
I wouldn't object to that if we had that answer.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Your building permit for that work.
Yeah, that'd be terrific.
Deadline, not this. Returning.
Returning deadline is Thursday.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
because the
Thursday.
meeting's a week early.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
What is that?
We'll have a Zoom call Thursday morning, don't worry.
The meeting is the 19th.
And the 19th.
Yeah, so the deadline is noon this Thursday for both new and returning.
You guys understand your marching orders?
Yes.
Okay,
thank
very
you.
good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your help. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I have a motion to adjourn that item to our next meeting.
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to adjourn the item.
Becker, a second.
Any objections? No objections, the motion carries. All right. Maybe. All right, the next item on our agenda is planning board 06/2020. This is 19 Pampwoods Road. Danielle, I'll put you on the spot real quickly as well. Just if you want to highlight any changes or progress, and understanding that you've not been intimately involved with this in our prior meeting.
Okay. So just to start off, we provided a part 2 and 3 EAF just in terms of seeker. We do recommend adopting a neg deck for this project because otherwise they can't move on to the ZBA, and most of our comments are outstanding upon ZBA approval. So that is the biggest item that we have. And then just another thing is that the easement in the back with where the truck or where the trash collection is proposed to be needs to be finalized, and we just are still questioning if the truck is going to be able to access that trash pickup area, especially because of that easement. And I think that is pretty much it. I mean, we are still waiting for a lighting and photometric plan from the applicant, and then, like I said, just pending variances from the ZBA.
Awesome, thank you. And Tony?
Yeah, and there was no new plans or anything submitted this round, so of course all of our comments still apply. Again, I want to reiterate what Danielle said. You know, when we're looking at this easement, we're looking at your trash pickup. You now may need more easement on that adjacent property because now you're going to be using to get to your.
But I think we did show I went over.
But now since then you've changed the dumpsters. The dumpsters are now facing.
The dumpster faces the other property.
Yeah, it's 102. I think we
Yeah, see how the dumpster faces the other property?
Yeah.
So how does a truck, if you only have 10 feet, how does the truck?
We were showing the truck maneuver and back. So again.
But that's I think our point. So if your truck's going to be maneuvering back in here, you're going to need an easement to use that property.
You only have 10-foot easement.
It's 102.
102?
I mean, I'm gonna work to. That's the word.
Yeah. Oh, so you're not picking it up from the front.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, you know they're gonna do it anyway. You know they're you know that this is what they're gonna do.
I cannot afford to.
They did a nice job of
I had it in my head that it was a front mower.
Yeah.
I could see us telling the Carter in there at 7 o'clock in the morning, don't move your truck there, you gotta go over there. The planning board said you can't do this.
Because that's what I was thinking in my head, it would be a dumpster that they come in the front.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, it's just going to be hand unloaded.
I guess
So
as for the comments, I mean, you know, again, we're looking for the board to declare a neg deck, then we can go through zoning, because that's the biggest part of our issue right now.
right, and I think we just want to be clear that, you know, between, you know, the easements in general, as well as the, this illustration here, and the trash collection sequence, which, you know, given the size of the, this is going to be a frequent and kind of important kind of operational concern. That it works. I would say, you know, the risk is you know, to you insofar as if it turns out that if we were to ultimately, you know, vote tonight on a neg deck and make the referral over to the VA, and then it turns out that, you know, that easement's not, you know, sufficient for, you know, for this operation to work, and then you have to, you know, revise the site plan, go back to ZBA, kind of go through all these. You know, I just want to be mindful of that risk or that concern. You know,
we understand that, and also I believe that none of the variances were requested to be affected by.
I've also always wondered how you park in that first parking space.
It's an oversized, you have to maneuver, but it is.
You're gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be maneuvering from out in the street to parallel park. You're gonna pull up, yeah, you're gonna be pulled up and then have to.
Make a U-turn.
No, you're gonna be pulled up and then backing into parallel park in that space. But you're gonna be sort of half out in the.
Yeah.
You're gonna go in the back, turn around, come back out.
Right, yeah.
And then parallel park. And you're gonna be pulling all the way up, so you're basically look like you're going out into the street and backing up to parallel
Yeah,
park.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, just to maneuver back into that spot.
That may be a little bit more maneuvering, but it's safer than what is being done right now, which is perpendicular to the building. And those sizes are usually oversized, which is not usually going
It can be, I mean, listen, I'm a good parallel parker. It's to do it, you're gonna be like across the sidewalk and out into the street.
Right, you're on.
What is that jutting out there? Is it at the front of the building? Yeah, right there. What is that?
That's
gonna be like a cement demarcation for the spot?
And I think it's maybe a good time to talk about, and I think this was a change, I thought, in the plan from the last time we saw this. We had talked last meeting about access from the rear parking lot up to the front, especially for wheelchairs. Right, yeah, there's any chairlift that takes you from the basement level up to the commercial level.
So, going back to sort of the next steps, I think this board, aside from the negative declaration, which you'd have to do, you should be comfortable with the items that require variances before you refer it to the zoning board to get those variances. So it's a height variance for feet. So permitted is 36 maximum, and they're proposing 41.2. It's a variance for the maximum impervious coverage. 80% is permitted. They're proposing 87.11. And then the other thing is their code requires a 2-foot setback for driveways, blacktop, or loading docks. Obviously, because there's the easement going over the property line here, the driveway goes right up to the property line. And that's sort of the easiest one.
Right. And JB, can you just remind us the change from the existing to the proposed in terms of the impervious?
We actually reduced the impervious.
Right.
So we added more green and right now it's 790.
Like the request is at 87 now, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think right now it's 94, and I know that we have reduced this.
Yeah, so it's right. So I think that's important. Exactly.
Wait, I'm sorry, it's gonna be reduced from the 87.
No, it's gonna be
about 96.
I
the existing conditions on the site.
Okay.
On that area, this is new lawn and it's new lawn.
Right.
Right now it's all asphalt.
Right. Right. No. So and then I think maybe we have the elevations in here. It's been a long time since we've actually looked at the elevations of the building.
Right. So I think it's important.
Yeah. No. I absolutely.
Specific.
And when it comes to the height too, is the height is an issue because of the slope. We measured to the rear of the building.
Are they in that set? Is that a full set?
We don't have any drawings that show what this is gonna look like for the neighboring properties on the rear of the, there's
re-elevation?
Yeah, and well, from the properties that are in the rear of the parking lot. They face Stone Avenue, but some of them obviously side windows. We don't have any perspective on that, do we?
No.
I'm just curious. I mean, if we're talking about a height variance, I think.
Behind the property, behind the parking lot is another large driveway.
Right, but then there's
behind, we're about 20 feet behind that.
This is not.
I mean, actually, the driveway's not that large.
Here comes the sun. Big file.
We didn't think to
Well,
download
the last,
previous.
the last set was downloaded, but it doesn't have the elevations on it.
We tried to get ahead of this, but, and so we're looking at 36 feet. So it's a five and a little bit foot variance on height. We'll work that in terms of how that relates to you. It is a very steep site. And then we'll wait.
Choose your imagination.
Parking variance?
A setback in the back, right?
No.
So the parking can be a waiver.
Yeah.
Oh, a waiver.
Right,
Okay.
right. And well, that's relevant because if it's not a waiver, it would have to be a variance. We'd have to kind of discuss just kind of look at that really quickly. I don't know if we have those numbers handy. I don't want to break you away from this, but
I just,
We're proposing
Okay.
15, 18 are required.
yeah, I think they're providing 15, it's 18 are required.
And I think the conversation was,
There you go.
the board had discussed the fact that,
yeah, let's now that we have these drawings up, let's just quickly sum up this kind of
let's go, yeah.
kind of
Just be
refreshment of our
patient
memories.
with me.
This page
Yeah.
loaded,
There's
but
a lot of wheels spinning here.
Yeah, no, but and I just want to be clear. I know this is an older set, but as far as the elevations, right? These are all. I mean, you haven't changed anything.
No.
And when you added the lift, it was. I know that's an interior lift.
Yeah,
So that was just
interior,
the
nothing
existing
has
engine.
changed.
So there's nothing that's changed on the upgrade.
The lift is only to go to the commercial level, or
Yes,
it goes up
no,
to
to the
residential?
Commercial level. So that's from the cellar, which is the basement, I guess, which is at the parking lot level, to allow accessibility up to some of the parking.
from the front is the height complying, it's in the
Yes.
rear where.
Yeah.
No,
Do we have the rear? Can we put the rear elevation up?
she's trying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're now,
It's
now
about-
stopped spinning
Yeah.
and we're frozen.
So
Yeah, mine won't.
so parking.
Yes.
Yeah, so the parking, you're right, the 18 are required, 15 are provided. And I think that before this board is the question of whether or not, what's the term, granting this is a waiver
For the parking.
for the
it's a waiver.
parking,
Actually, yeah.
with the
I don't
consideration.
think it's share part. Unless you can put a waiver, but
It's a waiver from the code.
It's a
required
shared
parking.
part, yeah.
Yeah.
it's the share parking. And I think one of the concerns from the board that we had, you have no problem agreeing with it. I think it was Michael that brought up that the use of the store that we get in the waiver from, to make sure that it's not used at night. The retail store, which is, it used to be in a.
Right, it's vacant now.
Right, the hours of functioning for that store should be in the 6 or 7 o'clock.
What are the as of right uses for that space?
Retail.
Is restaurant and as of right use, or would that be conditional?
I believe that be conditional.
Neighborhood community center, I believe that's NC one.
It's NC, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be good to know that, because if someone could just come in there and open up a bar.
Well, the bar, I think that.
I know.
No, but I'm
yeah,
saying most of the stuff require
conditional.
use.
If it's a conditional use, then those conditions can be, can we set certain,
I'm checking to see if they're conditional.
okay.
The residential is a conditional.
In the past.
Right.
In the past, we have said, all right, if there's retail service or some sort of retail is okay, anything else will have to come back to the board.
Can there be site plan restrictions in terms of hours of operation of the commercial spaces?
Yes.
I don't know what to tell you about this.
The Lipton stays open to what, 10?
I think they're open later than that.
You think it's later?
I'm not sure. I haven't been there late at night.
Bar or tavern use is conditional.
Okay.
Entertainment or recreation indoors conditional.
Restaurant food service,
Yeah, no.
sorry.
Restaurants, conditional use. Retail is
Right.
permitted.
And
So
That's true, conditional.
any permitted use, I guess.
So retail is permitted, but, restaurant is conditional.
Okay.
So restaurant would have to come back to you.
Okay. So, and now we have, so, but that would, and that would also impact the number of parking spaces as well, all right? Those different uses are gonna have different parking requirements.
Yes.
So that 18 is based on retail?
It's based on retail.
Okay. Right, and so, and how many, just to get back into the numbers, of that 18, what's the mix of retail and residential?
It'll require 16 parking spaces. And there was 10 parking spaces for the apartment, 5 parking spaces for Lipton, and 3 parking spaces for the retail.
All right, so
we were requesting 3.
right, so it's 10 plus 8, right? 10 residential, so you're looking at 3 spaces that would be flex spaces.
Yes.
And how would that be demarcated? So you would have presumably have
we have a bottom
7 reserved residential spots.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, and then 3. Seven plus, so it'd be 7 plus, plus 5 plus 10. Well, I guess that 8 commercial during the day would be flexible parking.
Right.
3 of which would serve towards the residential purpose. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if the hours can be controlled, as long as there's not an overwhelming, it sounds like the use has changed to. I'm just trying to think of outside of a restaurant, what in there would maybe make this math not work out as well.
And that's why you might, if they came to you for a conditional use permit for a restaurant, you might not approve it because of the concern over the parking.
Right. So as long as those,
if you've approved shared, the reduction in parking for shared parking, they've got to have shown that the uses will generate parking demand during different periods. So they can't really do that with a restaurant.
Right.
So I think that by having the shared parking, they're pretty much saying you're not going to have a restaurant in there.
Right. Other thoughts from the board on this one? This is a question I think we've touched on it several times.
Yeah, we spent a good amount of time on the parking.
Yeah.
Okay.
My comment would be, I think you've made it work on paper. I think that the 2 spaces in the front seem a little challenging, the 2 parallel spaces. That I do know this site, and I know it's there's a slope there existing. And the other concern that I brought up last time was just circulation for pedestrians. And I know that may not really be possible on this site because of the way it's built, and you're not really putting in any provision for that to, for people to walk around the building and not be in the pathway of cars or trucks. So, that's my comments. Just the exterior.
And I think this
works
on
paper.
In 2019, when we originally a lot of time was spent to that because originally we did have a sidewalk going on the side of the building, and the concern was brought up from the neighbors that is not conductive to walking down the hill on Meadford, and it will be more dangerous. And that's why we created the internal connection between the parking.
Yeah, as long as it's been addressed, I think if you come up with another way to deal with it, it's a very tight site. Yeah.
Can we just go to the
unique housing, but it is a very tight site.
Can you look at the rear rear elevation? Because I think that, just looking at
Yes,
that,
okay.
I think the answer to the
Trying.
circulation. Sorry, that was.
No, we're so close.
You keep saying that.
I moved on to a new context now, so I asked the same question without even thinking about it. But
Well,
right, it's just in terms of the demarcation of like I parked in this parking lot down at the bottom of the hill. The store is up there.
Right.
Like to make it clear, like commercial entrance, like come on in here, Lipton's upstairs, like that kind of a thing.
I mean, that should be no issue.
And it's a glass door. Is it a?
I'm not sure that we have
Oh.
a glass door, but.
So I'm sorry, the intention is that anybody could access through that rear entrance?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I thought that was limited to residents only.
No.
There's a staircase, interior staircase that would allow from access, public access.
In this elevation here, the.
Oh. No, we should be able to get that.
For the thing, you're assuming that during the day, if I want to go to Lipton's, I may actually park in the back, and if I am not aware that I could actually walk through the building to get to Lipton's, I am going to walk through the parking lot.
Right, so again.
Hopefully that's twice.
But that's right, that's the view, and in the part that is not shown here, maybe for the next time we here for Pb, is that we have a buffer zone with all the landscaping, so the landscaping probably should be shown, and we'll kind of break down the massing of the building from the back.
So that's the height that requires the variance.
Right, the double line at the top, right? The lower line is the so it's a sloped roof line that's going into that variance. And it's then that green line is the baseline because of the hill.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think given what they're trying to do here and with the steepness of the slope, I don't have a problem with that. That obviously would require zoning opinion. We'll refer to that on that. I'm comfortable with that. Okay, and then just to sum up that conversation on this, because this is, I think, relevant to Eric's question about circulation on the site, is understanding if the interior portion of the inside of the building is part of that circulation. It's just making sure that I think both maybe even in this elevation or the site plan that it's clear that's
an alternate intent.
Okay, so with all that conversation said, actually, can we go into a public hearing on this so we can make sure that's addressed? Have a motion to open a public hearing.
Michael Aronson, motion to open a public hearing.
Any objections? No objections, or we're in a public hearing. There is nobody in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom who'd like to speak to this application? Use the hand raise function. And I do not see anybody using the hand raise function. Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Bobby Balker making a motion to adjourn public hearing.
Carla Diaz, second the motion.
Any objections? No objections. The motion carries. The public hearing is adjourned. So at this point, we have the draft neg deck. I think that we've all had time to take a look at it, review it. Are there any questions, on the neg deck at this point? I think it's been covered in prior meetings. All right, I don't see anybody raising their hand. So just procedurally then, we didn't talk so much about the easement, but there was an email in the on the agenda that there has been communication with the neighbor. So I guess the easement is in process of being drafted. What's you guys just very briefly?
Yes.
Yeah, update us on that.
Sure. To our that he would be willing to go along with the easement. I contacted the neighbor. He contacted the neighbor. It's Manicchio LLC. Angelo Manicchio, principal of that. He's been around town for quite a bit on some properties. We spoke about it. He spoke how it would happen. He had his surveyor go out and start the survey for the easement, and he's retained counsel. I think Erwin Kane, he's going to draft it. He's forwarded to me, and
then we will take it from there, but it's in progress.
So this easement would actually benefit the neighbor, because it would give him the 10-foot easement on your
That's a very
property.
strange thing. Off the record, I give you my opinion about that, but that's what's gonna happen.
Okay.
So right now, you have a 10-foot easement on his property.
Yes.
That's
Like, and
existing.
you're proposing a one-way in on his property and one-way out on yours. But as of now, it does not appear that he has an easement on your property.
He does not at this
Right.
time, and never has had an easement. I had suggested the maybe one, at least by description, he didn't think so, and requested that we pursue an easement for the benefit of 21 campers. So this easement is not for the benefit of 19.
Right, because you already have one.
We have it.
Right.
So that's just a.
It might be an opportunity to clean up and make it sort of a common easement, common driveway type of.
I think that's what they've had for the
Easement
last 50
situation.
years, so.
Well, but they haven't, because there is no easement over 19 for the benefit of.
I don't want to get distracted by it. If you do it for 50 years without an issue, it's usually common and great.
So we're looking at a site plan that shows one way on one property and one way out. So, based on this site plan, there's a way
That's by permission.
out of their property.
So,
So,
But that's in progress, just so you know that it's in progress. He said that the survey had completed the survey, and he was just putting together the meets and bounds for that survey. Harry was going to draft it, and we'll agree to that in the easement within. It's an interesting easement. I don't know, it has nothing to do with us.
right.
But it does, because you're showing this one way in and one way
Yeah, I mean, it
out.
doesn't have anything to do with the property rights there, so it's, yeah, it does, it shows one way in and one way out for us.
Well, but we don't want them coming
I
out where you're
understand that.
going in.
But just-
So we want that one way in and one way out to be for both of you.
I totally appreciate that, but as to 19, it's not, this is an issue that impacts 21, and 19 is agreed to go along with that.
It is an impact on the site plan, because otherwise you're both trying to use the same 10 feet to go in and out.
Right. And that's why this issue's been
Yeah. And
recognized.
it's not a prescriptive easement, because if it's been by permission all these years, that defeats it being a prescriptive easement. It has to be like adverse possession, where it's not permissive.
I don't know how it started. I don't want to get down that road. It's a very different opinion, but that's okay. We're going to get it done.
I will simply note that the resolution of this easement, could potentially impact, anything that we decide here tonight, and I just want to make that the record is there.
We expect it to be soon. I don't control that time. But I spoke with them today, actually.
Okay.
Just a good friend.
Thank you. So I
It
think
doesn't affect the variances,
Right.
so.
right. And so look, we just discussed the variances. We looked at the height issue. We looked at the setback issue, which is the easement issue, and the impervious issue, as well, the impervious coverage issue, as well as the potential parking issue. And it sounds like, from the board, and if anybody's being wrong, that the parking waiver that they're looking for sounds appropriate based on this site, rather than asking them to go for a variance.
Yes.
Okay. So then, and I know we have to look at neg deck before we go to ZBA referrals, but the ZBA referral would be simply for those three elements: height, impervious, and setback. And so I guess at this point, unless there's any other comments or questions, or Valerie or Tony, is there anything else in terms of neg deck that we should have discussed or looked at?
I don't see I know you did a part 2 and 3, and was it attached to your prior memo? Because I don't see it.
I'm not sure that it was attached to the memo, and
I
I
don't
don't print
see it
copies, and
here.
I did not. But we can send it via email tomorrow morning if you need.
It was previously. We walked through it in this meeting.
Yeah, just didn't get posted.
Should we, I mean, that just procedurally posting that before we,
Yeah, no, I was just looking to pull it up to use it.
yeah.
for purposes of. But don't remember what meeting we did that at. Can I go to the minutes just so I can see the discussion?
It was probably over the summer. The last time we saw this was maybe September.
Thinking it was September because that was the meeting I missed. And I don't remember. Looking.
Right.
You think it was July? You have notes from July. You think it was done at the July meeting?
My memory was over the summer, so that would.
Okay. Clearly, my memory doesn't work.
We did not have an August meeting.
No. 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I need to find a minute.
You need music.
Any volunteers?
Go acapella here, guys. Come on.
I was just downloading the next.
No, that one we downloaded.
Oh,
That one should be all right.
Play the sounds of a lonely whale. 52 hertz, is that what it is?
Can you mimic this?
I'm gonna try it.
Oh, you're asking me? I don't know that I'm the person that is. We think it was what meeting?
July.
July.
Trying to find minutes.
I'm here. So tell me what you need.
Okay.
Minutes from the July.
Yeah, so can you scroll down to this application?
14 church. 106. 9 Brook Place. Nope.
No,
it
okay,
was not
try
this-
September.
Oh wait, 19 Camp. No,
It's adjourned though. Not July.
We think September or June?
September.
No minutes because they just got approved.
I have them.
Full service.
By June, just in case.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Keep my curiosity, what are we looking for?
I'm glad.
The part 2 of the environmental.
I might be lying, actually.
Not-
Never mind.
Let's try May.
Seeing it right here in 2 minutes here. Thank you. Issue. Got it.
What do we got? Parts 2 and 3 of the EF were provided for to
Yeah.
consider. So this was the May meeting.
So it's been quite some time.
So. Just want to check some.
Short EA, that's the short.
So we're looking in.
Okay, so there wasn't really much discussion of it. Or at least not in the minutes. So
Yeah.
Valerie presented you with the draft of the part 2 and 3. So obviously in the part 2, it was determined that there were no moderate to large impacts, everything was none to small. And that's why she had provided the part 3, which does the negative
She
declaration.
said they're attached to the Nelson Folk 519.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Jamie.
Wow.
Coming through in the clutch.
Indeed.
I think I checked every one except that one.
Usually.
There we go. Okay.
Yes.
So here is, you should have this when you're making the.
Yeah, no, that's.
So this is, you went through this, you determined that, everything was no or small impact. There were no moderate to large. Can you keep scrolling for me? Keep going.
We'll work our way through, just kind of work our way through the document.
So then you get to the part 3, which is the determination of significance. So here Valerie wrote up, sort of the summary. It's minimal disturbance, creation of additional units. Based upon review and the comments, review of part 1, part 2, and supplementary materials, it's been determined that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse impact.
Yeah.
So this is what you are going to vote to adopt. That's what I needed to.
Thank you. And we got it. We got it. All right. So with that up there, and this is something that we looked at earlier in the project. It was also the nature of this site and the nature of this project is the existing building effectively making it taller. But so we have a motion. I guess we'll do. We have to do these separately in terms of.
Do them separately.
Okay.
You should do a separate motion to adopt the negative declaration.
All right. So let's start with the negative deck. We have a motion to adopt it.
Michael Aronson, motion to adopt the neg deck.
Eric Talbot, I second it.
And we'll do a roll call.
Michael Aronson.
Aye.
Robert Bowker.
Aye.
Carla Elliott. Aye. Bill Maria.
Aye.
Eric Talbot.
Aye.
And Chair Roy.
Aye. Very good. So the motion carries. Negative deck is adopted. So now that the negative deck is adopted, can I have a motion to refer the project to the ZBA for the height, maximum impervious, and coverage and setback, driveway setback variances?
Bobby Bowker making a motion to refer to ZBA for the 3 stated variances.
Can I second the motion?
And roll call.
Michael Aronson.
Aye.
Robert Bowker.
Aye.
Carla Elliott. Aye. Bill Maria. Eric Talbot.
Aye.
Chair Roy.
Aye. Very good. So you guys have any other questions? You guys know where we're going. I have a motion from the board to adjourn the application.
Motion to adjourn the applicant.
Michael Aronson, second.
Any objections? We don't need to do the roll call. All right, very good. The motion carries. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Maybe. On the mic tonight.
Where you get that swear?
They were matching so well, weren't they?
I was hoping we were
All coordinated.
I always notice.
All right. So next on the agenda is Planning Board 08 2023 BHR 07 2023. This is 196 North Highland Avenue. And so this is the site plan. It is a conditional use. It is BAR. So again, I'm going to ask Danielle if you want to kind of just let us know where your review stands. Then Tony, over to you.
Sure. So again, our comments aren't too extensive. The main one being just that next submission needs to be, or should be, a complete submission. We just been kind of getting bits and pieces. Our other larger recommendation was that to replace the wintergreen barberry because it's invasive. The rest of the landscaping planting choices we thought were okay, but that was the biggest one. And we just wanted to make sure that the board understood that once some of the plants that are proposed are full grown, that the landscaping won't be a complete screening. So they're going to be a little short, but that's not a big issue, and it just requires county referral. So we're still waiting for the response from the county's comments.
Right. We got a response from the county. We need you to respond to their comment.
Yes.
All right, Tony?
Again, we have significant amount of comments. I just want to touch on the three things that I feel the most important. Again, I'm concerned with the wall designs. I know you're talking about having those before a building permit, but I'm just concerned that might affect your site plan. If those heel walls have to be pulled in and you're pulling all the walls in. So I just kind of want to push that, that could become an issue if your heel walls, because you changed one of them to 3 foot 6 inches, but on the, if I got this right, the southern side, you're still about a couple feet over the property line like that.
We had spoken with the client with that, we did have the, like you said, we had the note about the structural engineering in that was part of permitting, but we didn't engage.
Yeah, I would, if I was you, I'd almost work through those because that affects you in any way when you have to pull those walls in. You're changing everything. The other thing I just want to note, and it's something new that is shown. You're now showing 25, the sewer service for 25 coming into the service and going down that existing pipe. Those have to be separate services. Because the minute you put both those services in, that's a public main, and you'll need to go through health department. So I think you'll want two separate services.
That was, it was noted.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to let you know that was something that jumped out at us, in the office. Like you're making this a public main now, so make sure the two don't go in together before they come out to the street. Those are the biggest things, and you stated you're in DOT right now.
Yeah.
So you're gonna wait for those comments, and I won't go into all of them. Like a lot of them are a little minor site issues. One more thing, I don't want to bore everybody. Just be aware your stormwater treatment is 20 feet below the ground because you're cutting the site, and then on top of that, you're putting those units. Those units have to have 3 foot separation for rock or water. So you might want to start looking at that as well. Because once you cut the site down to grade, you're then putting stormwater treatment under that. So you're looking at a house 20 feet below.
Okay.
So
that, again, as you saw, we started to progress through most of those comments.
Yeah.
There was one thing that I just wanted to have clarification.
You speak up a little.
Yeah. Usually when both of you make a comment about referral to the fire department, does that go through us, or do we contact them? It's been in the past that the village contacts the fire department directly. Just when that's something we're gonna do. Or...
I think they were contacted already.
Okay.
You can correct me.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought we had discussed
that. The way your comments read, sound like we were waiting for the comment.
Yeah,
but you have. Okay.
Well, we keep it in there until it's addressed. That's a big.
Right. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I don't want to find out 3 months from now that I was supposed to call them.
Understood. You don't have to do it.
That's all. Okay. And I also, there are a couple of other, comments I guess the board has been discussing that have been in the different memos. We've talked a lot about the size of the commercial space as that being that being kind of a concern with the overall plan, right? I think it's conditional use residential up top, and we're looking at the size of the rest of the commercial space, where you have like a very small commercial space up front, and then a large storage like undescribed storage space in the back, and then we have, I think that your response was that there's lots of small commercial spaces, which is fine and true. We're not asking for one giant commercial space, but the whole purpose of this zoning group, right, is to bring street level commercial life to the street. And I still, I feel like that comment from the board, unless you feel differently and want to present something to us, hasn't really been addressed in a way that certainly.
Well, you feel that's that side of the road again. The adjacent property has 3 or 4 small stores, and the other side it's residential. So that was, how we feel with that. That side of the street is not as, as larger commercial. There is a substantial difference one side of North Island and the other, the street. You have gas stations, you have the diner, And in this side, you have, it's not as, it's a smaller buildings. And there's a mix of residential and commercial.
Right, a mix, and even the building next door is 3 or 4 small, commercial spaces, and this is a very large building, and the kind of the mix of residential and commercial in there is, I mean, that storage space is not commercial, right? That storage space is, I mean, it may be defined in the site plan as supportive of the commercial space, but it's not, it's not a public utility, right? And so, and again, we're looking at the village's plan, right? At how the village wants to develop this street, and bring the public into it, and adding, commercial use is one of the main ways that can be done. And when it's like just kind of tucked into a teeny little corner, this is a comment that we've had all along. And while we've been making that comment, I don't feel like it's really been responded to. And so I really want to emphasize that for the, again.
I mean, okay, so for us to put a response together, I mean, the size, again, the observation that we have made about the size of, want us to put together a listing of the property, the size of the property, the size of commercial property. I'm trying to.
How big is the retail space?
It's 500 feet.
Really small, and it's a single one, right? And how big is the storage space?
Storage space. Well,
I think it would be helpful to know the types of uses you're considering putting in there. When this project first came to us,
I think that's another thing too. Like the size of the commercial hasn't changed, but when we came the first time around, it was a bakery, so it didn't feel like a small space because it had a use. So
what was a bakery with the same size space?
It didn't very much though. It's just that some of the bathroom, the toilet, which is now commercial, and public, was probably commercial.
Yeah,
we define a use for the store. I mean,
or at least a list of potential, occupants there.
For that size, it's probably going to be professional use, like a CPA or a finance firm or
insurance office or something,
construction office or something like that.
It's labeled as retail right now,
right?
Which
is probably not realistic.
Yeah, for that size.
So say we can enlarge the size and the use.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it's it's like a dumbbell plan, right? And you've got these mirrored spaces on either side of it, and one space which is the same size is a office, and the other side space on the back is is a closet. And so like why can't that space be used for the public benefit as well? Why can't that also be some sort of a commercial space? Or is it, I mean, does it ultimately come down to the fact that you can't comply with parking requirements and it's just going to overload I don't know, but we haven't heard any response articulated.
So we will hear something.
Okay, and then just kind of want to work our way down through here. I mean, as far as the planting is concerned, I think those comments from Nelson, I think those are helpful. I personally think that the variety of plantings that are being proposed now, the invasive species issue being addressed, I guess there's still the barberry issue, but your guys' comment regarding that it won't be full screening, I think just the texture and the variety that's there will be better than putting up some wall of I think what was originally shown up there, which was like evergreens that are just kind of cookie cutter. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Any other kind of board comments or questions? We should probably talk a little bit also about the DAR portion of it.
Yeah, I know.
I just have one more question, if that's okay. The proposed trash location, is that going to be accessible by truck?
It's gonna be again, private pickup.
Private pick-
Yeah.
But
So they may
is
use
it
the
going to be
pickup.
accessible? Like, is there enough space for that truck? What do you mean exactly by private pickup?
Or is it gonna be rolled out? For private
It's,
guy?
it doesn't need to be rolled out. It will turn. It will actually does not, yeah.
The truck's gonna go under that overhang?
No, it's, I think I believe the next plan, we do show that it's right. Yeah. So. Then we can show maneuvering again. That's a policy. Your answer.
The cars are parked, how do they maneuver?
We will show that because that can be moved again, that can move to the back. That's all the hatch area that, that's all, it's a big area that can be used.
That's covered, right, or partially, you know, that's.
Yeah, no, it's not covered.
It's there's that entrance though, the driveway entrance has a.
No, but that's not,
Yeah.
That's not a cover.
Where's the dotted line? The dotted line is the building above, correct?
That's your setback, I think it's this is
Yeah,
your.
yeah.
But yeah, it's the same line as the setback.
Yeah. No, that's fair. But we kind of go out to the parking, because this then goes into the DAR question, which is why I'm asking. Just go all the way, where does that outlet onto the street? Yeah. So right, this always gets confusing with those front elevations. Because then there's the continued dotted line there, which I guess is the other property, setback line. Yeah. That is.
Seems tight.
That
for-
seems
I thought I was wanting to be current too, yeah.
If the parking lot is full.
Yeah, I don't know how they turn around, they're on the back out.
Yeah.
Get a truck out there.
Fine.
Yeah.
There you still my job.
And that's all, I guess, you know, I guess the DOT, I guess, doesn't weigh in on those components in terms of structure. They will, okay, well, so, I mean, a truck access.
Someone, I don't know if you, there have been some changes already from meetings with DOT.
Okay. What has DOT said? What comments?
Most of the comments, they didn't give us comments for the back. Most of the comments were the intersection, the utility pole, how we enter into North Highland Avenue. Those were,
where is the utility pole on this?
current location.
They're gonna be mostly concerned with everything in the right of way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're not gonna look too deep into the site.
No, but getting a truck in and out,
Yeah. Yeah.
even just for.
So we can do a maneuvering plan to show
How it pulls in and backs out.
yes,
How could you possibly turn a truck around in there?
You can't. You cannot turn a truck around.
Not with a car, not with the parking spaces.
Probably even with the parking spaces empty, I don't know that you can turn a truck around.
You need an amazing driver.
Because the building is right there. I mean, that, you know, those, right. And so you can't go under those buildings. Right. So there's no, you can't. And I'd be worried about damage to the stucco and the truck hitting the building.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I think that's still a question. That relates back. Let's go to the elevations again. And maybe even the renderings. That was
There's some discrepancy between the renderings and the elevations that had me a little confused.
the theme. That pedestrian entrance always throws me out because that looks like a driveway.
It does.
What, and that's just open, right? That's just open to that parking lot.
yes.
But the cars aren't going in there?
No, cars are going over here.
Yeah, that throws me off every, yeah, that's constantly, yeah.
Why is that so
That's why
wide?
they showed people in there.
Why is that so wide? I mean, you could actually
Actually, there's no issue with making that a small.
I mean, I'm
So-
just
so
wondering,
that's
could
the-
you add to the commercial
retail
space, right?
space.
The retail space, right?
Right. You make a larger retail space.
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know proportionately
No,
how
I
that
don't.
works on the facade, but
I mean, I have no issue making that a smaller
it's just
entrance.
confusing.
And that's, I mean, I guess it's also confusing because that's almost, I mean, who's walking through there? It would be, the purpose of having that, to me, is to get to is for somebody walking along the sidewalk to get to the other commercial space on the backside of the
That's
lot.
not a commercial space.
I know.
No, that's also, no, you also have,
Exactly.
no, that's not like that, because you walk also to the entrance to the farm.
Right, but if you're,
You have an entrance to the retail on that side. So there is a walkway there.
Yeah.
So there's a connection to the street.
right, no, and actually, I appreciate the connection to the street. I think it throws me off in this drawing, but I
That's
actually
why
don't
we
want
did
that
the
to be something
renderings,
smaller.
so.
Yeah. But I think my point is if the building is connected to the street, there should be, majority of the people that are going to the residential units will probably be driving there, and parking in the lot. And that,
Also, there's not much sidewalk in that side of it, so we are creating a side, we're creating a connection to.
let's go to the renderings. I think, I don't want to dwell on anything. In the rendering, it's a little bit clearer, but you were talking about something.
Well, I guess there, on the elevations, there's the detail over the cornice that's not here. And it just looks proportionally, especially that peaked roof and the windows below it. I mean, I sort of have an issue with it on the elevations as well, but it's.
That's fair,
Well, I think that, again, this is a kind of full view. If you see the other view from the side, I mean,
It's just,
again.
it seems that the proportions or there's something that's disturbing me that I can't quite articulate.
The second dormer to the right.
The second dormer under the large cornice or whatever, the roof cornice.
Does that need to be there? Could you just have board dormers on that side of the building and just have those?
Yeah, why is there that elevated?
I can look in this.
That's what I was saying, that's not centered, I told
Right.
you.
Yeah.
That to be the center of the building.
Yeah, it just sort of throws me off.
It's not centered on the building and it's not centered with that oversized entrance.
Right.
Like if all of those were aligned, that might.
Yeah, so again, we can reduce the size of the entrance and we can make sure that they all line up.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, I'm not advocating personally at reducing the size of that. I think that it's, to have that transparency there is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just the relationship of that to that one dormer, to the kind of the different dormer, which you have on the other side, which is, I think looks fine. It looks appropriate. Right. And they're symmetrical and they work.
All right, so I think the phone here.
They're actually not
Not symmetrical.
But it's, I think because there's a pair of them, it seems less arbitrary on that wall.
Looks fine on the side.
Yeah, I don't have a. And then there's still, I don't know, we've never really resolved the jog, which we've been talking about from day one.
Yes, that.
Yeah. I don't know if there's like an architectural detail that could, it's a massing issue with the building, right? Because the building is effectively floating, right? Or if it's lightening up that kind of allowing it to float more and making that entrance wider, almost like, right? Like, or we're adding a second like window or light underneath there, so that it's clearer that this is a building that's sitting on like,
Well, at one point, we did have the stone band go all the way up.
Right, which would kind of do the same thing, right? Articulate that.
Yeah, I think this is one of the articulations that why we made that change to something meaning that we did have at the beginning, which it was my preference to have this stone be a heavier band. So there was definitely a striping separation between the two elements.
I mean, if you take that, you know, that line, right, which I guess is the bottom of the floor of the first residential floor, if
Yeah.
that's drawn straight across, and there's some, whether it's stone or some other material difference, that you see the house floating on top of the commercial plinth.
Yes.
I think that would really help to make that look a little clearer.
Okay.
And is that's the start of the covered parking area, the way that's.
Yes.
And I think that this view also, and I still get thrown off when I look at the plans, because when we're looking at that dotted line over those parking spaces, it looks like it's just over the back of those spaces. And over here, it looks like there's, 20 feet of cantilever building. What's the actual distance? What's the?
Well, no, what you're looking at is that
we go to the side view, go to the park, go to the parking lot elevated. Well, we're rendering of the parking lot view. Yeah, go down.
Wait, I'm sorry, which way?
Go down.
Yeah.
It's actually the rendering of the image that you're just showing.
Oh, this?
That, I think there's a closer one, no? Yeah, maybe that one. Yeah. Right, so the relationship of that entrance, because that entrance is that going right? Is it going into the lined off spot? It just seems so deep, right? I don't know. It doesn't seem like it lines up. Or is there or is the basement is the basement level? Can we go to the basement plan maybe to the ground floor plan? There's something. Sorry.
Mr. Hernandez, am I going the wrong way or the right way? Wrong way. Okay.
I forgot.
The doghouse and manhole.
That's
The doghouse manholes, when you're actually going on an existing pipe and you put the manhole over the top of it, creating a base and cutting the pipe out. That's a doghouse. It's one of my comments, by the way. I'm questioning what's what.
Yeah, that was that plan. All right, so
there is a walkway there.
there is a walkway. Okay, so that walkway aligns. We just kind of look at the bottom of that.
Aligns with the opening, sort of.
Yeah.
Where is that opening? Isn't clear on this actually.
No, it's not clear. But also, let me point out that walkway, there is a difference. I mean, this is the challenge inside. There's a difference between the heavier line that you see on the top, that's actually a retaining wall, because the walkway and the driveway go to different levels.
The walkway and the driveway are different levels?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So the walkway goes straight, basically. The driveway slopes about 5%.
So the walkway is under the driveway.
The lower, yes.
Yeah, it's
from
lower.
That, from
Okay,
that
that makes
point,
sense.
you see the heavy line or the double line. From that point on, after the accessible parking space, there is a difference.
So there's a ramp up at the parking space, and then maybe does it even switch? Is the walkway a little bit higher than the driveway, closer to Route 9?
Yeah.
All right. And so, but that's a pretty substantial cantilever there, right? It's like, what is the distance there? Is that like 20 feet?
Oh no, it's not. You see, that's where we had to work out the parking space. Those are columns, structural columns. So there is no structurally. There is no cantilever.
I'm using the term cantilever. I don't mean it structurally.
Covered area.
Covered area.
Yeah.
This right? No, it's all the way.
Yeah, you can see columns in the those grayed out. Yeah, exactly. 1, 2. All right. So that's
those are the columns. Yeah.
Right, but the covered area is quite deep, right? So those
are
okay. All right.
And then you see the side entrance to the store, which
right. And then the entrance to the other
We can reduce the entrance to the upstairs. Relocate some of those mailboxes and large.
But that's
the
the
commercial.
The entrance to the upstairs, meaning that's, yeah, that entrance right there, right opposite the
Yeah.
ramp.
Mhm.
Right. Is that a? Oops.
What is that to the left of the? Yes, that way.
An elevator.
Elevator,
Oh, it's an
corridor,
elevator.
stairways.
And that goes all the way to the top of the building.
Okay.
And so the area that we've been talking about, this labeled storage area, only has one entrance, and that's from the outside.
Yes.
No window.
But that's stick framed at that level, correct?
Mhm.
So it could
No,
have
it's
windows.
good. I can look to see, but it is, it is the foundation wall, it is.
Well, you see the foundation wall on the other sides of it, but not, at least the way that this is drawn. See the forward wall.
All right,
Yeah.
for the next presentation, I'll give you, the driveway's going like this, the sidewalk is staying.
I understand.
So the storage actually, that is a foundation wall. If there is framing, it should be probably like up to 5 feet. Yeah.
But the part facing where the entrance is, that is not.
Yeah, we can put a window.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna use it, if you're thinking about using it as a commercial space. Important.
Right, I mean, that door is at grade, that walkway is, at whatever, using the term, the grade of that floor.
Yeah.
I don't, there's enclosure there, but anyway, I don't want to take that one. Okay, so.
There's some stuff that we were looking to.
Yeah.
Especially with the stone base of 11 to bring that back.
Yeah.
I mean, that was something that we had done in the past. Not sure how end up working out.
Okay. Yeah, right, and if it's, it's not stone, but there, or if it's a combination of stone and some other horizontal, like horizontal architectural band that draws a distinction between those two floors, something that, I don't know. Any other comments on the DAR from the board, or these this is really mixing DAR and site plan in this conversation is kind of helpful, I hope.
I think we covered it.
Okay. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Kennedy, a motion to open the public hearing.
Maria, second.
Any objections? No objections, motion carries. There is nobody in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom? You can use the hand raise function. I don't see anybody doing that. And I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Bobby Belker making a motion to adjourn public hearing.
Michael Aronson, second.
Any objections? No objections, motion carried. Okay, so at this point, you know where you need to be. I think we've made some progress. Any other comments that we should be making from any of the professionals?
They've got the memos.
Okay, all right. We have a motion to adjourn the application for May.
Aaron Talbot, I make the motion.
Bobby Belker, second.
Any objections? No objections, motion carries. Thank you, JD.
Quick question. When, as we progress along, let's say we get to the point that it's but then we take it from DOT, and we don't know how long that is gonna take. How does it work with the, not having the problem within there's nothing to be shown to the waiting for it?
You mean in terms of the rules about removing something? If we know you're actively just waiting for DOT,
That doesn't apply.
that doesn't affect them.
We have a board, we have discretion as the board to keep it on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other matters of business that we need to discuss? We good? All right. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Michael Aronson, second.
Any objections? No objections, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Good night. Thank you, David.
You may not.